The Zoning Board of Appeals meeting for City of West Palm Beach for January 2020 to order. Would the secretary please call the roll?
James Carmen.
Here.
Christopher Hagan.
Here.
Malika Barlow. Let the record reflect that Malika Barlow is not present. Christopher Kammerer.
Here.
Michael Hyman. Michael Wood.
Present.
Alfred Fields.
Here.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And we have approval of the minutes for the December meeting.
I move approval of the minutes from the December 2019 meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's a report from zoning staff.
Good afternoon. For the record, John Roach, Principal Planner for the city. I do just want to give a quick update of projects that came before you last year. I know I gave a summary last time of how many cases came before you, what those cases consisted of, but I thought it would be nice for the board to know, the cases that come before them, how they're progressing through the process, which ones are moving forward and so forth. So I'll just quickly do that with the handful of cases that you saw in 2019. The first was Arts on Broadway. You saw this in April. It was approved by the Zoning Board of Appeals. Currently, it is still going through site plan review. We're actually waiting for resubmittal of revised materials and so forth on that. But as far as we know, the project is still moving forward. The second, which was in June of 2019, was the racetrack on Military Trail. This was a Class B special use permit with some waivers. It was approved by the ZBA. Permits have been applied for. We did issue site plan approval, and permits for demolition and the new construction have been applied for. They haven't been issued yet, so they're going through that permit review process. But again, this one is also moving forward at this time. The Wawa on 45th Street and I-95. This was also heard by you in June 2019. This was approved for the Class B special use permit with a couple waivers. Currently at this time, site plan approval has been granted. Some demolition permits have been granted, and I believe work is underway, if not completed, with regards to the demolition, but there has been no permit activity with regards to the new construction at this point. So it's kind of a wait and see with regards to that. Also in June was the Science Center storage expansion. There were a couple of variances relating to storage buildings that were proposed behind the existing Science Center. This one was actually approved by you in June, as I indicated. They are moving forward with construction at this time, so that's underway. Once that's complete, I'll get some pictures so you can provide that to you so you can see the finished product. But they have moved forward with construction on that. In August, Coniston Townhomes, this was a setback variance with regards to the front setback for townhomes. It was approved by you in August. Permits have been applied for at this point, but they are still going through that review process. They are also doing the site plan review and platting process simultaneously. So that's happening pretty quickly, but it's still going through that review, again, moving forward. Colonial Road, there was a variance with regards to an accessory structure at the rear of the property so that they could provide for the lot split. That lot split was approved in August of 2019. Based upon my latest look at the property appraiser's office, I don't believe they've completed that lot split at this point, but everything from the city's standpoint is complete, and it's our understanding that they'll move forward with that. The FP&L offsite parking lot, which was pretty recent in October, it was a Class B special use permit, as well as some variances with regards to fences, buffers, shade trees, and so forth. This was approved by you. Permits have been submitted to the building department, and that is moving forward. And the last couple projects that you saw at your last meeting, 508 21st Street, this was approved. Nothing's been submitted yet. So we'll wait and see how that goes forward. And then Children's Place at Home Safe, the Class B special use permit. Again, that was just recently approved by you. We haven't seen anything as far as activity, but again, it's pretty early in the process. So just wanted to provide those updates, and that concludes staff's presentation.
Thank you. Any questions? Oh, get off easy. Anyway, Our proceedings today will be recorded, and anyone who wishes to speak will be sworn in. Our process will be the applicant will make a presentation and answer any questions that the board may have. And then after that, staff will make a presentation. Members of the audience who wish to speak in favor or against the project will have an opportunity to speak. And once that is exhausted, we will go into executive session and make a decision. Now, there's 6 members on the board today, but only 5 members vote. And it takes at least 4 members, 4 yes votes to pass the activity for the day. With that said, is anyone which is going to speak, would you please stand and be sworn in?
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Would you read the first case, please?
Any ex parte, Mr. Chair?
Oh, I'm sorry, getting ahead of myself. Are there any ex parte communications on this case?
Alfred Fields, no ex parte communication.
Michael Wood, no ex parte communication.
Chris Hagan, no ex parte communication.
Chris Cameron, no ex parte communications.
Michael Hyman, no ex parte communications.
And James Carmen, no ex parte communications. Now we'll have the next case.
Zoning Board of Appeals, case number 3378, a request by Greg Arias of El Boss Property Management, LLC, for a variance from the side setback requirements of Section 9472A2D of the city's zoning and land development regulations. The approximately .0675 acre site is located on the west side of Pinewood Avenue between 49th Street and 50th Street within Commission District Number 1, Commissioner Kelly Shelf.
Good morning.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon, okay. Okay, so I guess was explained.
Would you identify yourself, please?
I'm sorry? Oh, my name is Gregory Arias. Well, we're trying to obtain a variance on this lot because, as you can see, it's a very narrow lot. And I guess I'll go through the slide. And I guess, in my process of trying to obtain the piece of land to the north, I found a couple issues, and actually, property appraiser had this wrong initially, but they since then corrected it. But as I was doing my research, I found out that there's an issue with the plat maps, and I explain here that there's a gap in between this plat map, plat number 2, and I believe plat number 4. And so I took a screenshot of property appraiser, and you can see that there's a clear gap, like a triangular gap, that I guess starts from the east and then just continues to expand toward the west. And that's how there's a big gap adjacent to my lot, where now it's basically a 25-foot gap of just empty space that no one owns, or it's not, at least it's not listed in property appraiser as anyone owning. And I guess I did a survey, and I wanted to explain that the survey, it shows that the minimum width, or the smallest width of my lot is actually 29 feet, or just under 29 feet. So, if I'm complying with all the standards for setbacks, I could only have a 14-foot wide home. That's why I'm requesting this variance, because there's a minimum 5-foot setback, 15 total, but my request is just taking 5 each side. That way I'm not violating multiple regulations. I'm just just asking for a single one instead. So basically, instead of 15 feet total, I'm requesting 10-foot total to have, for my setback, and especially considering since there's basically no one to my north, I won't really be encroaching or impeding on anyone's, land in any way. And then I guess I want to go over that, I did my research with trying to figure out who the owner could potentially be, and I really couldn't decipher anything on here. I had help with from the court, but I can't really read anything here, and so I couldn't really find who could potentially own it on here. And also pointing out that it's an empty land, like no one's maintaining it. So even, you know, even though I wouldn't own it, you know, I'll still maintain it just so the rest of the community could look, you know, fairly presentable. Same thing. I really try to maintain the lot, even though I won't own it. Just maintain, I guess, maintain the aesthetics of the community, because the community is actually pretty decent looking. I guess that's the end of my presentation.
Does anyone have any questions?
Sorry, I think I do. Just, you indicated that you had purchased the land from the city?
Yes.
Okay.
I purchased from the city. So it'll be the one highlighted in red.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the city owns. And just to the north of it, no one owns it, or, you know, there's basically no contact info figuring out how I could purchase that land.
Understood. Okay.
Anyone else?
If I might, thank you. Hi,
Hello, good afternoon.
good afternoon. When you did your research, you didn't see who the original entity was that platted the land? There was no indication?
What, that platted it?
Yeah. Do you know who platted it?
No, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I figured it'll be from here, but other than information that's on the plat map, I don't know who else would have platted it.
Mm-hmm. Have you looked into acquiring that lot by claiming it,
Absolute
or have
possession.
you talked to someone about that?
Property appraiser gave me, you know, a series of steps, but then, you know, I went to an attorney to, I guess, deal with it, you know, basically do all the paperwork properly. And he said, no, you can't obtain it just like that. You got to wait a couple of years. So the attorney I spoke with actually told me that the information I obtained from property appraiser was, you know, not entirely true, that I can't just obtain it, you know, immediately. There has to be a set number of years prior to even having that right to do so.
Is that something you're going to try and do, or?
Yes, but they said it's a 7-year process, and, you know, within those 7 years, I'll maintain it. If the owner somehow ever shows up and claims an interest, you know, I have no problem obtaining that loan, but I don't see them. Like I said, I don't know who it could be. Can't even decipher this, and this was back in like the 1800s, I think. So I don't think whoever would own it probably has no clue about it anyways.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Caroline Glass, GIS planner for the record. So I'll show you a quick site video so you can see a little bit of the surrounding area and the lot. So this is looking to the south, approaching the lot, going clockwise. Now you can see the vacant lot to the north, scanning upward to the north. So for a bit more context on the request, the applicant has an SF7 lot, and in the SF7 zoning district, a total of 15 feet in setback is required and 5-foot minimum on each side. So you can see the applicant will have a 5-foot setback at the southern portion of the lot and a 5-foot 3/4 inches setback at the top, the northern end at the most narrow point right here. The applicant is requesting a variance of 4 feet, 11 1/4 inches total. And so the southern portion is where there is an existing home. So you can see here the proposed construction. At the top we have the landscape plan and the site plan in the middle portion. So the applicant did work on the landscape plan to provide some improvements, so they wouldn't have to request additional variances by providing driveway ribbons. So even though it's a small lot, they might have to come in for a variance for the front yard landscaping, but they worked with us to provide these ribbons, so they wouldn't have to do so. The site plan, this is the northern portion, this is the existing lot here, and there's the 5-foot setback at the southern portion and the 5 foot 3/4 inches. So staff recommends approval of ZBA 3378 based on the fact that it complies with the section 9438D6 of the zoning and land development regulations. This concludes staff's presentation.
Are there any questions?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Well, since we're in executive session, there was no questions. Oh, I'm sorry. Are there any members of the public that wish to comment? Oh, seeing none. We'll go. That's 2 times I did that. Anyway, we'll go into executive session. Does anyone have any comment they'd like to make on this? Hearing none, would someone like to make a motion on the variance?
I'll move to, at the zoning, I'll just read the entire motion here to grant it. I move that the Zoning Board of Appeals grant application number 3378, a request by Greg Arias of El Bosque Property Management LLC for variance from section 94-72A 2D of the city's zoning and land development regulations to allow a cumulative side setback of 10 feet 3 1/4 inches, where a cumulative side setback of 15 feet is required. The motion is based upon the testimony presented along with the application submitted and staff report, which constitute competent and substantial evidence. The board hereby makes findings of fact that each of the criteria in Article 2, Section 94-38D6 of the City of West Palm Beach zoning and land development regulations have been met.
Is there a second?
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered. Congratulations. Are there any other matters before this board today? Hearing none, we're adjourned.
Thank you.